So then we are back with more understandings from the time of the Second Tabernacle services, where we find in the Aramaic English translation of the word. This translation comes from the original manuscripts of the prophets of the Israelic lineage. So then we understand the time of the end. As per then Yeshayahu, the 61st chapter, then we find ourselves during a very important time where then what people do no longer influences then the course of the prophecies. During the time of the seat, every area of human behavior related with the spirit would influence then the spiritual world. After 2009 or 7009 per the Creator's calendar, then the future of the planet is then in His hands. And the prophecies are then obviously at the moment during the time of the restoration and reduction, where then they can't be changed. But then it's our task understanding those prophecies and lining up with it, because nations, they won't be anymore as they used to be during the time of the 1,000 years of the seat. So then from Galah, let's verify then per order of events, starting then obviously with the understanding from the Quran, coming then the first son, a service son, because we understand Hagar was then a servant. She was given then to Ibrahim as a servant. So then came Ishmael, and the objective of Ishmael was servants. He was then a lineage of servants of then the world's trade. So then we understand many areas of it where then the Messiah knew his elder brother would secure a place in the Gentile world when the restoration period would come. And as we already spoke before, you won't find the perfect person to take you by the hand and teach you step by step. You have to do it by faith as you hear the word. Because those hearing the truth, they have to do what the truth states. Each then reading and doing what the Messiah told them to do. So then, later it became obviously then the second son, Isaac, and tabernacling. So then 20th chapter you find then the 1,000 years of the Messiah, and then the 1,000 years of Nahashatan ended in 2009. Thus the 1,000 years then completed. So then returns the truth, what was prior of the time of the 1009. So then we find ourselves during a time where then the Chinese system is coming in the future, and the government unfortunately has made for themselves a hole in the ground. That's where the government is going, because they're going to the Ozarks, and they already have built many of FEMA camps for the non-legals with railroad tracks near them, very similar of what's then during the time of Nazi Germany. Well, read the understandings, read the news. So then, understanding the Chinese system coming in the future is very clear. When you read then Revelation and then the third part of the ships, then you understand. The nation of the area is going to be in charge of the leadership of the production of the bulk. Then afterwards comes the sons of Ishmael, the Arabs. Most prominently is going to be obviously Arabia. That's where most of the reunions are going to take place. So then the world coming out of poverty, they are going to have the understanding of the first son, because we are during the time of restoration. Whatsoever people are thinking of it, the best is understanding as a fact, solid, in quote, concrete fact. It won't change. As far as the understanding of the time of the future, The sons of Ishmael, they will make decisions amongst the nations. So then we find the Chinese system in our own country. The mortgage system is already involved with it. The Bank of China and Citigroup are already linked up. And a person has to be really stupid not understanding the Chinese system is coming. So China has then placed this, in quote, ace card in their game for a long time. So then when you begin to understand the stock exchange, when you begin to understand investments, not only investments of companies per se, you're going to invest then per computer whatsoever item you think of. International wise. And you are going to be earning from the international. And that's the problem with our ostrich government. That's the only way a person can understand. Ostrich government. You know why? Ostrich government? Because they're going to stick their heads in a hole over there in the Ozarks. Read the news. They are building over there a huge mansion, 72,000 squares. Underground, 50 M's. Millions of squares of space underground. Oh, but then people, they can change. No, they cannot. This is what the government has for the country. They are going to stick themselves in caves, and then they think they are going to govern them from there somehow. How are they going to do it if the monetary system then has failed? It's not only our own money, it's the linkage with our system and worldwide. This is what we are having lack of understanding. And it's not the fact that government is going underground and then the system then on top so they can manage it from the ground. It's not the point. The point is the financial system of the country, then the money system then is down. But then how we're going to link ourselves while people are in the computer. They're going to download the Chinese system in their computers. And they're going to start earning from abroad. You know what the problem is? The government is not prepared for it. How are they going to take taxes from the system if they can't be nosing around privacy of people? You know what's going to take place then if they try to do afterwards? They're going to throw any kind of a law they can ever imagine to push the government away from their internet trade. But the government is going to a hole, going to the Ozarks. The only way this system is going to work for our country is when the government comes up with a system openly understanding every citizen then when they are online making earnings, they receive then taxes taken from their earnings instantly. They push then the switch, enter, then they get their earnings and taxes are already taken out. As taxes then are taken out, they receive an ID. When this system is implemented in clearly every area of earning of every citizen, then our country would be ready then for the Chinese system. If it doesn't get done, they're going to stick themselves in a hole. That's why they are building the Ozarks. Because they were living so long on 1,000 years of deceit, and they think they are some sort of supernatural. They are super stupid. This is what scoundrelized scripture can do to you if you have it. It drives you to the ground. Our entire government making plans to go underground. And you can go over there for yourself. Mountain View is the name of the town. And then do some exploring. Find the caves over there. See, our government is stupid. It's not very bright. They think they are influential and so on and so forth when they are not. They are absolutely stupid. They don't understand times and seasons, don't understand the real scripture, and they build for them holes in the ground, think they can go down there and then giving orders. What kind of a system are they going to use if people are then linked up with internet, international-wise, and the government can't take taxes from? How are they going to manage it? They can't print out more money. Besides what you think anybody else is doing, you know, privacy and private life and so on and so forth, when you hear the truth, you understand what's coming in the future, and it doesn't change. During 1,000 years of deceit, if a person would not behave, situation would change because there was no directives. There was absolutely no direction during the time of the 1,000 years of deceit. That's why you ever heard, oh, the New World Order. The New World Order words were ever since 2009, had no more directives. But the time has expired, has ended. Now we are returned to the truth. And it won't change it. If the government is stupid, doesn't take then the taxes from each transaction, they go underground. What are they going to do underground? Only God knows. Because who's going to work for them and try and take care of their crops? There is no monetary system. They can't buy or purchase. That very important predicament. The government doesn't know what they are doing anymore. That's why they're building the Ozarks. 12 gates, you know, in the midst of the forest over there, and the whole, they are ostriches, is what they are. They try, you know, to cover the problem with paper money, but then it doesn't have any value. So then, besides people behaviors, in what you think it is or is not, when a person behaves in a certain way, it does not change the prophecies. Yirmiyahu the prophet, he spoke many words, he spoke prophecies. He was sawn in half. Did it change the prophecies? No. We are reading to this very day as if it was new then in today's paper morning. Paper. Try to understand the system. We are reading then from the Tzayelic lineage, Daniel the prophet. Daniel was a statesperson. He was speaking of trade. He was speaking of the time of the end. He was speaking of increasing of knowledge. Every time you understand what Daniel was explaining as far as the stature is concerned, he was speaking only a nation, leader of the world. Gentile level, you link with the trade. Has nothing to do with tabernacling. He was speaking absolutely 100% secularly. The only tabernacling you find in a short understanding is the rock that came from heaven and struck the statue and destroyed it. It's the only section of it related with tabernacling. The rest of it is secular. So then there was Daniel the prophet explaining the areas of the time of the end, trade. So who is going to be the trade leader of the end? China. How are they going to do from every nation? So then Galah or Revelation then becomes true. Every nation of the planet doing trade with this specific country. How is it going to be done? Via computer. When the time comes, they're going to download this system in their computers, and they are worldwide. Our country can't take taxes from because it's international. Today we can pay taxes because we understand our own system of taxation. When the money comes from the international, there is no system. There is no system regulating it in real time. How are they going to manage it? If you order an item from eBay, for instance, from China, you don't pay taxes. And you have then freight at no charge. Do they realize they have then the understanding of funding via numbers, system, no tax is taken from, purchasing an item, no tax is taken from. But when you position yourself on the other side of the product where you are investing in the very product and then you get a share out of it, there is no way of gathering taxes. So let's recapitulate for those stupid of the government that don't understand. You have, for instance, PayPal. It's a form of funding. The government can't stick their nose in anybody else's information. It's private and confidential. You buy a product for 10. You pay 10, you receive, and you pay no taxes. Freight, 0. But then you switch around. Then you take your money and you invest in a company overseas. Then worldwide people are buying the product you invested in. Then you are earning from these from abroad. How is the government going to take taxes from? Because it's linked with the same money you purchased the item. See, the government is stupid. They are acting as ostriches, always searching for fault in somebody else's life. They don't even know how to do the work. But then they make holes for themselves, and then when the time comes, they go into the hole, and the others starts with F and then ends with ED. It's not as simple as the government is thinking, because so far they are thinking from the level of the printing machine. They hide behind the printing machine and they think it's going to be this way because this, that, and the other. Okay, when you have the paper money, Then you purchase, you have a record of it, and then you track via taxes you pay. Understandable, because you are speaking of from your point of origination, or from the starting point. But then when you make a purchase international, you have to be on the other side of the line. It's another kind of a monetary system. And with the same money you purchase, the same money you receive from the same line. How are you going to take taxes from maybe shows the reality of it. Maybe the government should go in a hole because they are stupid. So many of these politicians, all the rats, they don't understand. They were from the sometimes 50s and 60s and 70s. That's fine. Those are great times. Trusting times. But then they got themselves outdated. They are understanding the entire monetary factor from behind the printing machine. But then they have to position themselves on the other side of the world, dealing from there. So then when the people invest with the same route they sent the funding to invest as they receive, as then it would be a purchase, because it's done overseas. You can't track those because you are in a private financial situation, and when the government then noses around, then they get sued for privacy. The government is undoubtedly stupid. We wish we could use another word, but there is no other word to use it. So many PhDs, so many people earning so much money in our government, and they don't understand economics. But they are quick to find fault in somebody else's life. And then the basics they neglect. So why we don't give a chance to the Mr. Bernanke over there from the Federal Reserve, give him a nice computer and start working on a project. Every time there is earning via online, should be taking taxes instantly. Whether it's done via bank or private financial institution, every transaction where there is earning should be taking taxes. So then when the system of ours then working, then when the Chinese system comes, then they can make the proper adjustments, because they're already going to be linked with some sort of a financial system where they do transactions with. It's becoming more clearer. Please stay tuned, much more coming up.